Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Mr. Moore again. We are today going to be talking about TEKS 7.6c, which deals with using experimental probability to make a prediction. Now, to make a prediction, I should say. Now, data in terms of probability is used all the time by businesses, by scientists, etc., to make predictions in real life situations. The example that we have here is an example where Danae has found that her experimental probability, that's what she's found to be true, of her making a bullseye when she's throwing darts is going to be 2 out of 10, or approximately 20% of the time. So you may be thinking to yourself, she's not a very good darts player. That might be true, but this is what she has found her experimental probability to be. Now, if she were interested, say, in demonstrating for somebody else how to improve her skill maybe, and she wanted to throw her darts maybe 75 more times, they could look to see what her form was, to see how she can improve her game. So out of those 75 additional times, let's think about how many times she would actually make her her goal or of the bullseye going forward. So there's a couple different methods that we could use. We could use a proportion, which we are very familiar with, where we would know that 2 out of 10 is going to be equivalent to 20%. So I'm going to set that as equal to some number of throws that we don't know at this point versus the number of times that she's actually going to do it. Okay, so part over whole, she has found that 2 out of a total 10 times on average she is making the bullseye. I'm going to set that as equal to, again, an unknown amount for the next 75 that she will throw. We know that I can set up I can do one of two things. I can set up an equation where I would cross multiply and multiply 10 times x and set that equal to 2 times 75. 10x is equal to 150 basically. Or using a proportion, some number is multiplied by 10 to give me 75. I've found out that that's 7.5. Whatever I do to the bottom in these cases, it's just like finding an equivalent fraction, okay? Whatever I do to the bottom, I must also do to the top, which they've done. It's going to equal to 15. If I use the equation that I just mentioned a moment ago, where 10x is equal to 150, 10 times some number is going to give me 150, okay? And in that case, it's still going to be 15. Or I can use a percent equation. The danger in using a percent equation is that you have to know exactly what numbers you are multiplying. You have to come up with the appropriate conversion for your percentage, etc. So it can be a little tricky. So if you are proficient in that method, so be it. We can do that. And in that case, I would multiply 0.20, which is the decimal equivalent of 2 out of 10. Multiply that by the 75 times that she's going to throw that dart again. And that's going to equal the number of times that we would expect or predict that she would make her bullseye. And in that case, again, it is 15, multiplying those two together. So Danae, again, can predict that she will make about 15 bullseye throws out of 75 that she would choose to make in the future. All right. So as I mentioned a moment ago, businesses can use data like this to actually help them project their profits, etc. I gave the example in class where a car rental company sells accident insurance to 24% of its customers. Out of 550 customers, about how many customers are predicted to purchase this insurance? So again, companies use this data to drive sales. If they want to do additional training, they say, oh, we want maybe 35% of our customers to buy the insurance. So how do we do that? Okay, but they need to know initially about how many customers are actually buying the insurance to maybe set their goals from, say, maybe 1 or 2 people a day that buy it to maybe 3 or 4 a day that buy it. At any rate, let's go ahead and set up our work. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the dot camera. So I know that, as it said, that there were 24% of their customers were buying the insurance. And we'll just say maybe that is Thrifty Rent-A-Car, okay? They estimate that 24% of their customers were buying the insurance, okay? So of the next 550 customers, how many are predicted to purchase insurance? All right. So just as the previous example said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a proportion. Actually, I'm going to do both methods, okay? I'm going to do the percent equation, and I am going to do the proportion method. Okay, so I know that 24%, according to what I know about converting fractions to decimals to percents, 24% is going to be 24 out of 100, because that's what a percent is, okay? 24 parts of 100, 24%, converting to 24%. All right, now I'm going to set that as equal to some unknown number of customers, remember part over whole, and I'm going to do equal to part over whole. Some part of their customers, and again, the whole of the customers that I'm looking at would be 550. All right? So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out, using a proportion, some number times 100 gave me 550. I know that that number is being multiplied by 5.5. Okay? Now, when I multiply 24 times 5.5, I'm going to get a certain number. I'm going to give you a moment to actually calculate that. And I'm going to stop the tape. When you are done, start it back up. So once you successfully multiplied 24 times 5.5, you should have gotten to be where X is 132 customers are predicted to actually purchase the insurance based on the experimental probability that they have already come up with, okay? They didn't randomly put that out. They are using historical data from their rentals to figure out that about, on average, 24% of people buy the insurance, so therefore they can predict that of the next 550 customers, 132 will purchase the insurance. Let's use the percent equation where they would multiply the decimal form of 24% is going to be multiplied by that number of customers, okay? And of course, once I multiply 0.24 times 550, I'm not going to bore you with the longhand calculations, but I would set that up as 0.24, multiply that out, regrouping properly. That's going to give me, again, 132 customers as being predicted to purchase the insurance. All right, so that is that, 7.6c. What I want to do is I want to encourage you, if this is not something that you understand, back the tape up and rewatch it again. If you still have questions, please come to class with those questions. If that does not work, then I want you to come to one of my 2 tutorial sessions per week. And as always, I will see you tomorrow.